So I have had my hands on the Canon R5 for the last 2 days, thanks to my buddy Richie for allowing me to use his new camera. And I'm going to give you my honest first impressions. This is not a review, this is just my first impressions of this camera. Hello, my name's Stewart Wood and welcome to this video. In this video I'm going to give you my first impressions on the Canon R5. Now this isn't an in-depth review, I haven't had it long enough in my hands to pinpoint any problems with the camera. So this is just a first impressions of using the camera for the last couple of days. So first of all, I love the feel of this camera. With the EOS R, it's slightly too small and I have to have a battery grip because I don't like my pinky finger hovering around. So if I take this off, okay, you can see there my pinky finger has nowhere to sit, which is why they have that little battery type grip that you can have for the pinky finger. On the R5 however, it sits perfectly on the end of the camera. If I was to buy this camera, I don't think I would need a battery grip with it. It's perfect the way it is. I absolutely love that. We have gotten rid of the touch bar and we have gone with a joystick. It took me a while to get used to it, but I like it. I prefer that over the touch bar, to be honest with you. We have the dial here, which is from their higher end cameras. I love that. Better than the D-pad here, because that just feels like a PlayStation controller. Whereas on the R5, it feels nice and solid. The image quality is absolutely bang on, as you would expect from a 45 megapixel camera. It's superb. The dynamic range, the shadows I've been able to recover are fantastic from this camera. So from a photographer's point of view, it's a no-brainer to have this camera. Now I'm not going to upgrade from the EOS R because at the moment my computer cannot handle the images coming from this camera. So if the computer was working and it was fine with this, I'd be selling up one of my EOS Rs, the photography EOS R, and I'd be having this for photography because it's absolutely fantastic. The in-body stabilization is really, really good. It's fantastic, particularly when you're using it with non-image stabilization lenses. It adds that little extra 1 or 2 stops to your images, so you can get away with a lower shutter speed if you're using natural light. If you're using flash, then that stabilization helps you to nail that focus perfectly well. So when it comes to the photography, it's a no-brainer. I'll be honest with you, it's an absolute no-brainer to have this camera. That is fantastic. Now I didn't get to test the eye autofocus or the animal eye autofocus. There's plenty of other YouTubers on YouTube that will tell you all about that. I mainly just did macro photography, and from that point of view, it's great. The high frame rate is fantastic. The 20 frames a second when you're in electronic mode, that is brilliant. Now you have to be careful of banding, obviously, because you get banding when you use LED lights, but as long as you're aware of that, you can put out some cracking stack shots with that. 1 second, 20 frames, can't beat that. Brilliant. Now let's talk about the video side of stuff. Now, the video I did when I was showing you how I set up the EOS R, that was shot on the Canon R5. Now, I didn't put it through its paces, so I can't comment on the overheating issue, but the quality from that high quality 4K was absolutely fantastic. Color grading is brilliant. I absolutely love it. When filming the B-roll for this video, I had around 5 minutes of 8K footage and around 10 minutes of 4K 120. However, most of that time was taken up by the camera overheating while I was setting up the shot, so you need to bear that in mind if you are going to be using this camera for 8K or 4K 120. The image stabilization for video is fantastic. I love it. It's not a replacement for a proper gimbal because sometimes you get this wobble effect, but if you're in a situation where you don't want to take a gimbal with you, then the image stabilization in this camera will work brilliantly. Fantastic. 4K 120, absolutely fantastic. Love it. I wish I could do more with it, but again, my computer just says no. It just doesn't like it. That is definitely the upgrade to come first, and I'm pretty sure that once I've got the new computer, this camera is going to be next on the list. So overall, I am very happy with this camera. I can't see anybody being unhappy with it unless you're shooting 4K for an incredibly long period. We've all seen about it though, even I've moaned about it. However, since the release of this camera, Canon have come out with the C70. So if you have experienced overheating in 4K with this camera, then go out and get the C70 instead. But let's talk about the 8K. The 8K, oh my god. The 8K, fantastic for doing bug shots and stuff like that, is absolutely fantastic. The 4K 120 for slow motion on bugs is also absolutely fantastic. I really wish I could get one of these cameras, get it out in the field. Now, I promised my buddy Richie I would not take this out of the studio because, well, let's be honest, I'm a little bit clumsy when it comes to cameras, and he didn't want me dropping his brand new R5. So yeah, overall, again, I've only had it for 2 days. I've had a quick play with it, but I am very impressed with this camera. Why Canon left out the focus bracketing on the R, I have no idea, but that, I could see me using that quite often on water drop images. Definitely on water drop images to use that. So I think the best improvements with this camera are the, for the photography person, is the 45 megapixels. We can crop in a little bit more and get away with it. The image stabilization is fantastic. One thing to remember though, with it being 45 megapixels, the higher in megapixels you go, the sooner diffraction from high f-stops will kick in on your lenses. So if you do upgrade to this camera, then again, run through all your f-stops again to find out which is your sweet spot for this camera, because different lenses and camera combinations will give different results. So I do stress to test out your camera so you know where your sweet spot is on your lens and how far up in the f-stop range you can go and still recover it within Lightroom. For video, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The 10-bit 422 is absolutely fantastic. You can edit it brilliantly. The color grading is fantastic. There's less noise than there is on my Canon EOS R, particularly at the native ISO of 400 on this R5. It's fantastic. I only wish I had more time to play with this camera, but I'm sure once I get my own, we'll have plenty of time to play with this camera. So in conclusion, this camera, the Canon R5, is probably the best camera I have ever used. I absolutely love it, and I really don't want to give it back. But yeah, this camera is definitely on my Christmas list. I wonder how much does it cost? At the same time, I'm also going to need a new memory card because it uses CF Express. Might as well go for the Canon RF 15 to 35mm lens as well. Babe?
Oh.
Can we sell the car?
No.
What about divorce? So I have had my hands on the Canon R5 for the last 2 days. In this video, I'm giving... the intros are always the hardest. We have the... you can crack out some... You can put out some cracking... Babe?
What?
Can we sell the car?
No.
What about divorce?
Yeah.